Why is this Risod so important? Why did the army go into total hysterics until the hashtag Jungkook Risod exploded globally in less than 3 hours after the news first broke? What exactly was Jungkook hiding all this time? Until when the secret was leaked, most fans admitted that they would rather not know than have to face the truth. Because it's not just about a luxury vacation home. It's about how Jungkook carved the dark side and the light side of his life into the walls of buildings, turning them into emotional monuments, hidden maps, and even private museums full of mysteries that hold pieces of his soul that he never showed on camera. The location of the Risod, described only vaguely as a secluded spot with private access to the beach, turned out to be on a small uninhabited island in the south of South Korea. The island previously had no official name, until leaked documents suggested that Jungkook himself named it in very personal terms, Gui. In Korean, the word can mean himself or his, a naming that immediately opens up a very deep emotional dimension, as if he wanted to have a space in this world that no one but himself would ever touch. But it turns out that space is not really empty. The space was filled. This horrendous initial report comes from a property document that suddenly went viral on one of the elite international property forums. The document contained a complete blueprint of the building, a list of interiors, and, most goosebumps, photographs of interiors that could somehow be scattered. Later, the army realized that some of the photos had appeared briefly in Jungkook's personal Instagram posts, but only appeared for a second on Insta stories and disappeared immediately, considered a normal background. Now, the photos look completely different. They have meaning. They have a story. And it's that story that is now shaking everyone. One of the most attention-grabbing rooms is the main room called the Nameless Room. This room has 4 large walls, all lined with mirrors, not just any mirrors, but one-way mirrors that allow outside light in but don't reflect shadows. In the middle of the room, there was a black leather chair that looked like a silent throne, facing a large surrealist painting. The painting depicts a figure very similar to Jungkook, standing alone under a red sky, surrounded by melted clocks, a strong reference to the paintings of Salvador Dali. But what is most surprising, at the bottom of the painting, a quote is written, "If I am not known to them, then I am free." The sentence sparked a massive discussion. Has Jungkook always felt constrained by his own image? Is this Risod not just a place to take a vacation, but a place to be himself? The deeper the information flows, the clearer it becomes that this house is not just a dwelling. This is a place of escape, wound storage, a place of quiet confession. In another part of the Risod, there is a closed room called the Vault Room. This room cannot be opened with a regular key. According to the leaked blueprint, the door opens only with the owner's fingerprint, voice, and retina, a security system even stricter than the official home of the head of state. And when finally one of the sources claimed that he managed to peek at the contents through the ventilation gap, what he saw made this news explode into a global controversy. The walls were full of letters, not an ordinary letter. The letters were handwritten. Most are addressed to someone who has never been named. But many believe they are letters Jungkook wrote to himself, as a form of reflection and therapy. "You may be a star in their sky, but even stars explode in loneliness," read one of the letters. Another is darker. "I wonder what it feels like to be unsupervised. Just a day. Just one day." These letters, there are more than 200 of them, became the subject of an analysis by fans and even celebrity psychologists. Many say this shows Jungkook's fragile side that has been masked by his perfect stage persona. But what's even more surprising is that some of the letters seem to have been written on important days in BTS's career, including the night before a big concert, during a debut anniversary celebration, and during a temporary farewell due to military service. One of the letters, dated 2 days before he enlisted in the army, expressed deep fear. "If I leave, will they remember me for my songs or for the silence I left behind?" This letter went viral and made armies around the world cry. Many said they did not expect that behind the smile and wave of his hand, Jungkook harbored fears that the world would forget him when he was inactive. The controversy intensified when a private room was discovered full of personal memorabilia, not just from BTS, but from his childhood. There was his first guitar, the shoes he wore during the audition, and, most uproariously, a never-released photo of him sitting on a beach holding the hand of a mysterious woman. This photo immediately sparked huge speculation about who the figure was. The army dismantled old photo archives, matching shadows, clothes, and even beach shadows, but until now there was no definite identity. But one thing is certain, this Risod is not an ordinary place. It's a time capsule. This is the part of Jungkook's soul that is never shared with the outside world. A former property project staffer claimed that the house was actually part of a major art project designed by Jungkook over 2 years in secret, in collaboration with contemporary artists, underground architects, and modern museum curators. The project was named Eclipse Soul, a soul sheltered by shadows. The project was originally designed as a private place to reflect, but there are long-term plans to make it a private museum after he retires from the entertainment industry. Is Jungkook really planning to retire and leave the music world? No confirmation yet. But the fact that he built a place as complex and intimate as this made the speculation grow wild. Some claim that HYBE had known about this place from the beginning, and even some of the company's top brass had visited. However, no one has ever mentioned it in public. Why? A leaked legal document shows that the Risod is not owned by Jungkook in his personal name, but rather in the name of a fictitious company set up overseas, making his ownership nearly impossible to trace. Until finally, one name came up: JK Private Trust. These are legal entities that turned out to be connected with various hidden properties in Japan, Switzerland, and Iceland. And that means one thing: this Risod is only a small part of a larger secret network that he has been building all this time. Army, who loved Jungkook for his voice, now loves him for his mystery. But some also felt torn, because they just realized how heavy a burden Jungkook had been carrying all this time. Not only the pressure of being a global idol, but also the desire to have a space that is completely free from public expectations. Meanwhile, the world begins to wonder, do all artists as big as Jungkook also have secrets as big as this? Are all stage personas just masks of deep wounds? And the most puzzling, who leaked all this? And why now? Some theories suggest that this was part of a hidden promotional strategy for Jungkook's big project after his enlistment. But if that's true, why is it so raw and painful? Why is the army crying more than cheering? Whatever the answer, one thing is certain: the world will never see Jungkook the same way again. Risod, this is not just a place. This is an explosion of truth that has been hidden behind the light of the spotlight. And now, when the light fades, what remains are long shadows that make everyone ask, who is Jungkook? And what does he really want to say to the world through the silent spaces that have been hidden from public view? That night, the internet became a field of fire. Within minutes of the photos of Jungkook's private space and letters going viral, hashtags were popping up from all corners of the world. Hashtag Jungkook Risod, hashtag Gooey Island, hashtag Eclipse Soul, to more emotional hashtags like hashtag Save Jungkook and hashtag He Is Not Alone echoed through the timeline. The ARMY fanbase, known as a global digital force, is turning into a sleepless investigative community. They comb through each piece of image, checking Jungkook's handwritten font, and dissected old live archives and vlogs to see if there was ever a clue that this Risod really existed for a long time. A theory that later went viral stated that Jungkook had actually given clues about this Risod since 2022.